friends, it's Victoria Marie back with another scrapbook process video, and today I am doing a layout of my recent trip to Galveston, Texas. I was there for a conference, and those of you who are unfamiliar with Texas, Galveston is at the very southernmost tip, and it's right off the coast, and it's a sleepy little port town where there's a lot of ships and things that come in. And one morning I decided to get up and right before my afternoon conference sessions and go visit the beach. And I printed my pictures on 4x6, but I wanted to trim them down to be 4x4. And so I have this cool little tool from Simple Stories that I bought at Hobby Lobby. And what it are, Lord have mercy, what it is are guides to help you trim your photos. And I don't know if you've seen this before. Those of you, there's probably a lot of you that are using it. And so you just place it on top of your photo and you trim it down. And it comes in various sizes, and 4x4 is one of them. And it comes on this little clip, as you can see here, where you can put your little guide back on it, and it's easy to store. So you just simply put it on your photo, and you take your scissors, and you just trim your photo to the size that you want it. So I will put more information about this little tool on my blog post this week about this layout. I rarely do layouts about myself, and so I thought I would. It was such a beautiful morning. And so what I'm doing is I put the photos on a piece of textured cardstock, which you just saw there. Then I pulled out a color piece of textured cardstock from the kit, and then a piece of pattern paper from Teresa Collins' 9 and Cold collection. I am using the Scraptastic Heart It Races kit. It is their October kit. I don't normally use flowered pattern paper, but I thought I would give it a go. So I'm going to go ahead and mount my photos on this textured cardstock. And I love mounting photos or printing them with a white border. I don't know why I don't do that more often. I just think it makes the photos look really clean and crisp. And I took these photos on my iPhone, and they turned out really, really well. So I position the photos on the mat, on the background of the paper, where the joint is between the pattern paper and the cardstock. And unfortunately, or maybe fortunately, I am not going to keep that background. This is one of those layouts where, you know how you get started on a layout and then it's just not looking good, and so you keep embellishing and you keep going in hopes that it'll look better to you, and this one is just not going to be it. So you're going to see me in the next few minutes or so change that background. So I'm taking a Teresa Collins embellishment word that says shine, and I'm thinking I'm going to use that on the page, but then I come up with a better idea of stamping and putting a rub on that bottom right photo of me with my sandy toes and the waves coming up, which was really great. The water was nice and warm, which it usually isn't. Well, I guess it is that far south. It could be a little bit warmer than it is on the Pacific. But in any event, so I'm looking for a rub-on to put on this layout. And the rub-on that I'm going to choose, see, look at me in my hand. I'm up here like, what am I going to use? What am I going to use? And so the rub-on I'm going to put on is called This Perfect Day. But first I'm going to stamp. So I'm going to take one of the exclusive stamps that came with the Scraptastic kit. And that stamp says today. And it's a beautiful script stamp. I'm so glad I got this stamp set. And I'm going to position on the picture. And a good stamp product to use when you're stamping on your photos is StazOn. And I'm going to show that here in just a second, because it dries quickly and it won't smudge. So I'm thinking I'm going to use it with that Heidi Swap embellishment word, script word, but I'm not. I decided to go against that, and of course I'm shaking my finger like, oh, I don't know if I'm going to do this or not. I tend to gesture a lot with my hands and talk to myself, and you know it's dangerous when you start answering yourself. So I'm going to take this doily, and at first I'm thinking, I don't use doilies a lot, and I'm really trying to do that. And so I cut it in half, and I'm thinking I'm going to put it in the corners of that mat, and I end up not doing it. The doily will reappear when I change the background, but at least at this point I'm thinking I'm going to use it at either end, and then I think I change my mind and just get rid of the doily altogether. I was wanting to keep this layout simple because I really wanted the focus to be on the photos. I haven't been to the beach in quite a long time, probably over 12 years, since I used to live in San Diego. And so I hadn't been to the beach in a very, very long time. And I was just really excited just to get to beach anything. And it's really pretty off the coast. And so I wanted this layout to premiere the pictures and not do a whole lot of heavy embellishment, which was kind of my idea, to use that pattern paper so I wouldn't have to. Sometimes I just like the paper to do the job for me, but it ended up not looking the way that I wanted it to. All right, so I think at some point I'm going to go ahead and stamp. Yeah, there we go. So I'm going to get out the StazOn, and you can get this at any craft store. I'm going to put that on my acrylic block. I love acrylic stamps. I don't have a large craft space, so I don't have a lot of space to store wooden mount stamps, so acrylic stamps are always a great tool. And for those of you who are a little bit scared of stamping on your photos, I wouldn't recommend that you stamp on an original photo, particularly an old vintage or heritage photo. Make a digital copy of that photo, and of course for your regular photos that you use or that you print from your phone or whatnot, you can always reprint that photo. So don't be scared if you do decide to print on that photo, that you can always reprint it. So there you go. I stamp it, and I like that. I think it looks really, really cool. And so now I'm looking at a sticker set from Teresa Collins, 9 & Co. And I'm deciding what stickers I want. At this point, I've used a lot of the stickers that I've liked already, and I'm thinking I want to do something with banners at the top left. And then I find another sticker. And I forget what that sticker says. I don't have it in front of me. I think it's something like, I like this, I like this, or something like that, over and over and repeat. So I'm thinking I'm going to use it there. And then I find this other banner sticker, which has floated from page to page to page, and I do that a lot. I tend to put something down, rip it up, put it down, rip it up, and at this point I'm thinking, yeah, I'm going to stick with that. I end up not sticking with that banner up there. And at this point it's kind of wrinkly, so I should probably put this on wax paper and move it around the page before I commit to putting it on. I'm hard-headed. Okay, and so I'm going to grab another banner. I'm going to fuss with this because the word on it, I think it says love, but it has an arrow that's pointing supposedly downward, but the word is typed in the opposite direction of what I want it to go. And so I think I'm going to make it work, and I end up not doing that. Then I bring another banner, and now I'm going to pull this all up because it doesn't look the way that I want it to. I'm going to fool around with it, and then I think, oh, I'm going to put it down here and create a cluster of banners. And that's what I kind of commit to for just a tiny bit. And so at this point I'm thinking, maybe I'll just move the embellishments to the bottom middle and then the top in the middle, versus trying to put clusters on the side. And I'm kind of thinking about what I want to do at this point. When I get in this process of not committing to something, or it's taking me a long time, I tend to get a little frustrated because I don't like to take more than 30 minutes to do a scrapbook page. There I am trying to make a doily work, and that's just not going to work up there. So I don't like to take a long time to decide to do a scrapbook page, but sometimes it just sort of ends up like that, where you're fooling around with embellishments and seeing what works. When I can't make a decision, that means I'm thinking way too hard. I don't like to think that hard. Scrapbooking, well, at least not for scrapbooking. Don't tell my boss that I don't like to think hard. I got to think hard at work. And so I'm trying different things, thinking that I want to put up the corner. What I was going to say is, when it comes to scrapbooking, I just like it to be a mindless endeavor. Well, mindless to a certain point where I don't have to make a lot of hardcore decisions. I like to reflect on the photos and how I was feeling, and reflect on the memory, and not have to worry about getting the perfect embellishment. And I always have to tell myself, when folks look at this, they don't care that you've dug around like I'm doing right now. All my embellishments. I should have edited that out. You guys don't want to see that. Okay, so I found this other little banner, and it's great, except for that it's printed, the background is white, and it sort of fades, and it's too long. Because I was going to put it with those tiny little banners, and I have to say, okay, I'm going to put that to the side. Maybe I'll put it on top. Nope, I'm going to put it on the side. None of it's working. So eventually I'm just going to kind of stick that there for a moment and then abandon that idea. And so now I'm looking around for some alternatives here. And I pull out the sticker set, and this particular sticker set, it's called True Trend from Fancy Pants, and I'm thinking I'm going to use something like that, and I hope you can see that. It might be too far off camera. So I'm starting to pull some things up, thinking I'm going to use them, not sure if I am. And at this point, I'm feeling kind of good about the layout. As you can see, I'm rubbing those stickers in. I'm thinking this is going to work. And at this point, I'm looking at it. I put some other things on it, and I'm thinking, no, I don't like it. And when I start fooling around with other things on my desk, I did a little bit of stamping on the side, don't like it. Put some extra stuff on the top, didn't like it. So I decided I'm going to start over. So here I am starting over. I grab another piece of cardstock, and I'm thinking this is from the Notes and Things by Crate. I could be wrong. That's not crepe paper. I'm going to assume it's Pebbles, that cardstock. I think I threw away the branding strip. I needed something a little bit more subtle. The paper in that yellow cardstock just was not working for me. And so I grabbed this more neutral with the honeycomb in the back, and I'm really liking that. But then it's a little bit too stark, and so I'm trying to decide what I want to put behind that photo mat. And in a minute, you're going to see me fool around with some different journaling cards, and I'm thinking maybe I'll do some journaling on this page. I ultimately decide not to. And so I pull out some journaling cards from the This Life Noted Kit that Scraptastic sells, and it's for its pocketed scrapbooking. And I'm thinking I'm going to use some of those, but they just easily fade away in the background. They don't really pop. So I'm going through them and seeing what my options are. Then I have this other little card that has little phrases with little hearts in front of them, as if you could check off the correct phrase to go with your layout. And I'm not liking that either. And so I'm digging around again. I just cannot get it together with this layout. Ever had one of those layouts? I'm sure we all have. We all have. All right, so now I'm going to sprinkle some Heidi Swapp mist on there, and I use gold, which doesn't show up, and so I spray it, and it still doesn't show up very well. I'm going to go ahead and get some mustard from Heidi Swapp Color Shine as well, and it's not sprinkling the way that I want it to. I'm just having a rough go of it. So I'm going to tap the applicator, and sometimes it gets foamy and it won't sprinkle. The product won't drop on the page the way that it normally does. So I'm going to wipe it up a little bit because I'm impatient and I didn't want to reach for my embossing gun. Of course, I can't see any of those sprinkles, so I'm going to spray a little bit of the mist on the page, which I probably should have done in the beginning. I'm going to take a paper towel and I'm going to blot that dry. Alright, so now that I've blotted that dry, I went ahead and put my photo down, and I grabbed another piece of paper, and it has these cool little file folder designs on them, and I'm going to trim that up around the photo mat. On second thought, I probably should have rounded that bottom corner. Then I'm going to put on my title that says Galveston, Texas. This was the first time I actually stopped in Galveston. I've been through Galveston a few times. Oh, and then I'm interrupted because, oh, that little hand there is my little girl's. She's asking me about the layout, and apparently there's something wrong with Ariel. Ariel's not in her traditional dress, and so I shoo her away, and back to the layout. Parenting doesn't stop when you're doing a scrapbook layout. So I decided to move that, the photos up again. And here's the deal. Whenever I'm trying to do a simple layout, I always think that it's too simple and I need to embellish it more. Well, I'm trying not to be too complicated, and so I do a lot of second guessing of myself when I'm doing these. So the doily reappears. I'm actually liking the doily because it does add a little bit more to the page, more interest. I went ahead and committed to the title. And now I'm pulling elements from that previous background, and I did save that background for something else. I'm committed to using it in some shape, form, or fashion. So I'm putting down some stickers, and I'm going to end up moving those stickers later. Then I put a little sticker by the tab, which I will end up moving again. Again, this is like, I should call this the non-commitment scrapbook page. So I pull out some die cuts, and I'm shopping those around the page. Then, oh, that little banner comes back, and I decide to take that banner and another little banner and put that right by the title. and I'm happy with that, so that stays. That added a little bit more interest at the bottom of the page close to the title. And the smaller little cardstock phrase underneath the title says let's explore. I'm going to end up moving that next to the title on the right hand side. So I decided to put a little bit of that doily at the top, and so there I am filling up those same banners that have been stuck down and filled up millions of times on at least 3 other scrapbook pages. Oh goodness. Okay, so I'm going to put the doily down, and then I think, oh yes, so I'm going to put a little bit of the enamel stars on there. And these enamel stars are awesome. They're from Chicken Nitty, and they're really cool. They're large stars. So then I reach in and I reach in my stickers stash, and I find those banners again. And that, you know, when I've used these stickers a lot, I just put them on a piece of wax paper and stick them in with the rest of the stuff. So I'm smoothing them down yet again, and they're actually going to live on the page. Imagine that. So I'm thinking I'm going to put a wood veneer piece there. I decided against that. I decided to put a piece of flair that says like forever. And I'm going to put some foam squares on the back of that to make that stand up a bit. I like that they make the flares with the flat backs. It makes it easier to put on your page, and it's not as bulky. And then I'm going to put a wood star at the top, a wood veneer star, because I wanted some kind of wood element on there. And then I'm going to put another one of those enamel stars on there. All those came with the kit. So I'm liking this so far, and I'm thinking I want to move that little piece of that cardstock phrase, and I'm going to do a rub on at the bottom because I wanted to add a tiny bit of black at the bottom. And the title's going to say Galveston, Texas, this was my favorite. And my favorite part, of course, going at Galveston was to take a moment out to hang out on the beach. So I get this exclusive cut apart that comes with the Scraptastic kit, and I'm going to cut out one of the tags there, and it says, especially love this. And it has a little circle there that I took my hole puncher and I punched a hole and I put some twine, some black and white twine. I'm going to adhere that to the top. And I like the way that looks. I need to use my twine more often. I used to be twine crazy when it was really, really popular not too long ago. So I need to use that more on my scrapbook pages. So that gives a little bit of something to the page. And then I decide, well, I want to back this on something, so I grab a piece of the yellow textured cardstock and put that on there. And since I had spritzed earlier, the page kind of was a little bumpy, so I decided to give it a yellow border, and that just made it look a lot better. And it bounced off the yellow from the doily and the yellow in my shirt. So I cut out another label. I'm going to put that on the file folder tab because the file folder tab says memories, but I needed a place to put the date. And so I put the date there on that tab, and it looks really cool. And here I'm showing you the final product. So there's the title and some of the pictures. This is a very simple layout, and that's how I wanted it to be. They don't always have to be fancy and all embellished up. Sometimes simple is just more. Hope you enjoy this. See you next time.